Hi and welcome to the video. My name is Max Tuning and today we're going to talk about something that I think most people would generally like, and that is a wider smile. Now the overall purpose of this video is not to get that movie star white because I don't really think that's realistic, and what I try to go for is just a natural, good-looking white smile, which I think that I've somewhat achieved. So I'm going to go over some tips and advice that I think will help you guys, that have helped me over the past couple years. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Now there are a million different products and methods to get a wider smile, but for the sake of this video, for the duration and keeping your attention, I'm just going to break this down into 3 simple tips. Tip number 1, and that is upgrading from the manual toothbrush to the electric toothbrush. Now trust me, for the longest time I stuck with the manual toothbrush. Up until about 8 months ago when I switched to the electric, I swore by the manual. I was like, there's no way I'm ever upgrading. It's noisy, it's expensive, I don't like it, and for whatever reason I hated it. And then one day I sucked it up and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy it, and it has been the best change to my teeth. My teeth are so happy now because of this bad boy. So you need to understand, to have a wider smile, you need to either bleach your teeth or use some sort of chemical process to whiten them, or simply remove surface stains, and that is where the electric toothbrush shines bright like a diamond. You get it? Because the song in your teeth. The coolest thing about electric toothbrush, which I found, is that most of them have a 2-minute timer built in, and every 30 seconds it will kind of give a vibration for you to switch areas in your mouth, right? So you get a good thorough brushing. And quickly, when I first used this and I used a 2-minute timer, I realized that there was no way that I was doing a full 2 minutes brushing, because this feels like eternity the first time you use it. So definitely cool to make sure you're brushing for a full 2 minutes and you're hitting every area of your mouth. So that is tip number 1. It's very, very simple. There's a million brands out there, and a lot of people have an opinion on which is the best and why this one's better than this one, and the angle of the bristles or whatever. I think as an entry-level toothbrush, just go on Amazon, get a high-rated one. This is a Oral-B one, and I think it only cost me about $30 or $40. And now the heads are somewhat expensive to replace, but again, this is your mouth you're talking about. You should spare no money for oral hygiene, because I'd rather have, I'd spend more on the toothbrush than significant more at the dentist to get fillings and whatnot. So tip number 1, electric toothbrush, buy it, it's great. Tip number 2. All right, for the second piece of advice, that is going to be whitening products. Now, just as a disclaimer, there are a million opinions about specific whitening products, about what works and what doesn't. So anything that I say has worked for me that has not worked for someone out there, it is just my opinion, okay? It is just my opinion. So when people think whitening products, they generally think of either strips or trays, or going to get a professional whitening session done at a dentist where they'll use that, that blue light that you see. Sometimes you'll see famous people or rappers putting like an Instagram picture up and they have like the blue thing in their mouth. They're like, this product works so great. I don't know if it works great. I've never gotten that kind of treatment done. But what I have gotten done, or what I've purchased, is some white strips. And these are some 3D Crest white strips that I found in my dresser here. Now, a lot of people will experience gum sensitivity to these things, so definitely try them out. Now, they can be pretty expensive, and I know Crest has some crazy marketing and they have like a bunch of different kinds, and some are more expensive. I really think for most people, any of them will be fine. I run them about once every 6 months, so twice a year. Again, they're not gonna permanently whiten your teeth, but they definitely have worked fantastic for me. So if you can afford these, I highly recommend you try them out, because I've had great success with these. One pro tip is, when you put them on, use your fingernail and push on the crevices of in between your teeth when the strips are on there. So then you're not just whitening the outside of your teeth, you're actually getting in the curvature, so you might not have like yellow lines and the rest of your teeth are white. So that's just a little pro tip if you use these. So besides whitening products, there are actually some really cheap at-home kind of whitening processes you can do on your own. And I'd highly recommend, before you do any of these, again, whatever I say, Google these, research, figure out how to properly do it, because again, you don't want to screw up the enamel on your teeth. I would rather have mediocrely good white teeth than crazy, stupid movie star white teeth, but I have no enamel on my teeth and they're weak and they get cavities super easy. So again, research what I say, but I'm gonna tell you some at-home tips that I use. So one of them is using hydrogen peroxide. You probably have this in your house. Again, you pour it on cuts and you scream like a little girl because it hurts really bad. You can use the 3% and you dilute it with some water and you use it as a mouthwash. So what I do is I just fill the mouth up a little bit with water. I squirt this in, I use it as a mouthwash before I brush my teeth, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, because if you did not know, if you didn't read the active ingredients on a lot of these whitening products, hydrogen peroxide is one of the main ingredients. This is a great whitening tool. Again, research how to do this. Another one that I have not done is you can use baking soda as a toothbrush, but be careful with that, because again, it is very abrasive and you don't want to literally scrape off the enamel on your teeth excessively to get white teeth. Tip number 3. The third and final tip is to simply have a good oral hygiene routine. You would not believe the amount of people that complain about the whiteness of their teeth, and I come to learn they only brush like once a day. So my routine is very, very simple. I start out with my electric toothbrush and I brush for 2 minutes. I start with the bottom row, then I go to the top, then I get the sides, then I get the front, and then I usually hang out for another 30 seconds and I get my cheeks, I get my gums, I get my tongue. The whole mouth is clean, so about 2.5 minutes with the toothbrush. Then what I do is sometimes, I floss. So what you're gonna wanna do is, pick whatever amount of floss and get through all your teeth. If you start having issues with flossing and you're like bleeding, it's because your gums are not used to flossing. So floss on a regular basis. I'd highly recommend it. You would not believe the gunk that would come out of your mouth. And if you don't floss very often and you haven't been convinced to floss, try it once and smell the floss after you floss. I'm flossing, and I guarantee, once you smell it, you're gonna go, oh, that's nasty, and you're gonna wanna floss more often. And then after I floss, I will take whatever mouthwash. I use a Listerine. I really enjoy the one that burns, that has the alcohol in it, because I'm like, it's working. But recently I've gotten the one with some fluoride. Do some research on fluoride, and there's some people that say you don't use fluoride every single day, and then some people say yes you can. So do your own research on that, but I use a fluoride toothpaste mouthwash, because again, after I brush and then after I floss, I feel that the mouthwash will kind of break loose anything that I did not catch, and it'll just spit out into the sink, and then just so great. Alright, so that is my oral hygiene routine, and now it might seem like common sense and not so much a tip, but again, brushing and flossing and using mouthwash and brushing for the proper amount of time, and brushing twice a day, is very important to remove surface stains, to expose that white smile. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you took away some tips and some advice that I've used to get a somewhat decent smile. If you have any tips, leave them in the comments below. Let me know if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up, okay? And if you stayed around for this long, I'm gonna give you the ultimate pro tip. The biggest game changer in oral hygiene. Are you ready for this? And I know a lot of you do not have it. Are you ready? Are you ready? The tongue scraper. Get one of these, use it on your tongue, and you will never not use this every single day. Your tongue is nasty. Yeah.